So in this video, I want to show you three things in our Unity project. The first being how to reset our camera in this scene. So as you can see, we can move it around, but we can also move in and out. And I want to show you how to reset it back to how we could see the scene start from the VR headset user's perspective. Also, another thing is I want to show you how to rotate our sphere screen due to the fact that sometimes Varjo is slightly off center when starting. So if we can just simply rotate the sphere screen to get the proper orientation. And finally, I want to show you how to make our hitboxes, which are these pole items, which are the eye tracking devices, our hitboxes for our distractors, and our environments UI stuff. This is essentially the debugging stuff to make them invisible. That way we're not seeing just bright purple and blue boxes affecting our tester's eye attention. So the very first thing I should show you is how to recenter the camera to how our initial headset view would be like. And in order to do that, we would go over to this tab over here, the hierarchy tab. Now, in order to get our orientation back the way that we want it, we can do one simple thing. We go over to this item right here, complete XR origin setup variant, and you're going to right click it, which will bring up this menu, and then we go over down to align view to selected. Now, once we click on this, we will see in our scene that we are lined up properly to how our initial VR headset view is supposed to be. Next thing I want to show you is the how to rotate the sphere screen. So again, sometimes right now it's perfectly oriented to how we want it for our testers, but sometimes, say if our initial setup of the headset is just slightly off, it might be looking like this. Sometimes if we get it completely wrong, we might start over looking over here. In case that happens, what we can do is rotate the screen sphere in order to fit it properly. So just going back to our orientation, actually, let's go back to being selected. So in order to do that, we would go into here, which is sphere screen. We left click it, and I'm going to zoom out for a moment. We can see that the sphere screen, which is this little camera icon, has already been selected. But right now, this is just to move it in the XYZ coordinate. That's not what we want. We want to rotate it. In order to rotate it, we go over onto this little miniature tab, and we click the rotating tool. Click on that, and we see how this icon has changed a little bit. Now, it's kind of a bit hard to see, but you can see that there are some these three colored lines, red, green, and blue. These represents the axis that we can rotate the camera on. However, for our purposes, since we're already going to have our X and Y set, I should say Y and Z's set properly, we're only going to want to change this green component. So how to do so, you click on the component, left click, and hold, and you can see we're rotating the screen left or right, right or left, however we need to do to adjust to our VR headset. But for now, it should be perfectly, well, not perfectly, but mostly squared away as how we want it. So the final thing that I want to show you is how to get rid, not get rid, how to make these boxes, our hitboxes, transparent. So we need these to be transparent because if we accidentally turn them off, then we lose our ability to track them as valid data for our eye tracking. So in order to do that, we would have to go through each one of these. So let's start with the instruction surface, this blue square. You left click on it and you open up this debug menu on the right side. All you have to do is go down to mesh renderer and unclick this check mark that is next to this grid with an eyeball. In doing so, you can see that our box has become invisible, but there is an outline. This, as long as there is a green outline appearing, that means that it is still active. But once the user is inside the VR headset, they will not be able to see that blue box whatsoever. So just to show you, for example, as you can see, and just to show, I can also show one of these purple hitboxes, do the same thing, click on it, go down to mesh render, and you should see one of these purple boxes disappear right now. See? But it is still active for our programming purposes. So that's nice and easy. The unfortunate part for that is for each one of these, we would actually have to go through and disable the mesh rendering for every single one of them. And this is an absolute must, and I have to tell you this why. So if you click on the folder distractors, you can select all distractors at once. However, this check mark right here is not the same as mesh renderer. These are not the same. If I click on this, we are actually removing that hitbox completely from our project, which means it does not work. It will not be caught on our test, and we lose any potential data that that hitbox might get from us. We cannot do that. So if you want these hitboxes to disappear, we're going to have to go through each one and go to mesh renderer and remove them. Now, these hitboxes are here solely for debugging purposes. This is for us to position these hitboxes properly, ensure that they're working properly. And once we feel that everything is ready for actual testing, we'll have to go through here and remove all of these. But not too bad. This final one right here, these poles, I should say, these correspond with the left and right eye tracking beams in our VR headset. And these are inside here, the main complete XR origin setup variant, going to XR origin to camera offset, main camera, eye socket. There is one for the left eye and there is one for the right eye. And we go down to here. Attention checker is the one that is the script that is running to create the ratios of how often and for how long each eye is looking at a particular hitbox or distractor, I should say. But for our testing needs, we go into eye target and again remove mesh renderer. And now those are invisible as well. So now currently our entire project, all of our hitboxes, all of our eye tracking beams, and all of our oh, I'm sorry, there should be one more. So in our serial screen, we also have this particular output, which is the user interface. For this, we have a runtime timer. This runtime timer is essentially how long the video is currently running. And object name, it shows if the user hits a valid hitbox, it shows the name of that hitbox. As you can probably see, it'll probably say coughing. It's hitting the coughing hitbox and telling us the overall time in the left-hand corner how long it's rendering. Yeah, see? So timing, and we're hitting hitbox coughing right now with our eye tracking beams. Again, we need these two, the object names and the runtimes, to make sure we're getting the attention ratios properly. So again, for these, we will also have to remove the checkbox on the mesh renderer. So now this should be set up in the way where a tester can immerse themselves in the VR project without being distracted by some bright blue boxes or words floating in front of them in midair. So let me run it one more time. And as we can see, this is how they are seeing the project. Sans the lines. But once we go into Varjo, it'll look better like this. And that is pretty much it for how to make our project presentable for the tester without sacrificing any programming tracking qualities that we created. All right, thank you guys very much.